Sheriff Barber's office.
Hi, my name is Valerie Haythorn. And I work at a Dairy Queen. I'm the general manager out there. One of my employees did not show up for work this afternoon at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
Which is totally uncharacteristic of her. She's one of my managers.
Okay.
I drove out by her house and went and knocked on the door, left her note. She's not answering her phone, which is totally uncharacteristic. She's not answering her texts, and she is not at home, but her truck and her coat are in the house. Her truck's there and her coat is in the house.
What's her name?
Her name is Tina Harrmann, Herrmann.
Okay. This is Deputy Sylvia. I can help you.
Yes, this is Valerie Haythorn. I called in last night about Tina Harrmann being missing. I am out at her house now. I just went in her home because I'm so worried about her. There is blood everywhere.
Police rushed to the scene at 481 King Beach Drive. When they arrived, it was clear that something terrible had happened. Blood trailed from the front door through the hallways and into multiple rooms. Groceries sat abandoned on the kitchen floor, suggesting whatever occurred happened quickly after Tina returned home. Tina Harrmann and her 2 children, a 13-year-old girl and 11-year-old boy, were nowhere to be found. Crime scene analysis revealed 3 distinct bloodstain patterns in separate rooms, with drag marks leading from each location that converged toward the bathroom. Motor oil had been poured throughout the house, appearing to be an attempt to destroy evidence by fire. But the horror didn't end there. Investigators soon learned that Tina's close friend, Stephanie Sprang, was also missing. Stephanie lived just down the street and was supposed to meet Tina that day to go apartment hunting together. She too had vanished without a trace. Despite the clear evidence that a violent crime had taken place, police found themselves with very few leads. With no witnesses and no obvious motive, investigators turned their attention to the people closest to Tina, starting with her close friend and coworker Alexa Leisure.
This is the last text message I got from Tina. That was the last time anybody had heard from her.
I might get that house, go see it tomorrow. Yeah. And that was November the 10th at 11:51
It was Wednesday.
a.m.
Yeah.
So why don't we do this? Why did you know she was going to go look? That Tina was going to go look at a house?
I've been bringing her the mids bags to work because there's different houses in there than is in the newspaper.
Okay.
She has been telling me for a month and a half now that Greg is threatening to kick her out, and she's told Greg, my name's on the lease too, you can't kick me out. And she's like, it's half and half. I'll move out willingly and you can have the house, but you can't sit here and tell me to leave. And so she finally decided, all right, I'm done with his crap. They broke up. She actually said that they came to an agreement that they were going to be friends with benefits while they were living together. And because she's a nympho. And she will say that straight from her mouth.
No kidding. Okay.
Yeah. She's a nympho, so. And well, that worked out for 3 days. And they started fighting again. And she said, all right, I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to get a place with me and the kids. And we'll just go our separate ways. Well, she was having me bring the bits bags to work. And she was leaving them there because she didn't want him to know that she was looking for another place. Like towards the end of it and recently and stuff. She didn't want him to know that she was looking for a place because she was planning on moving out when he wasn't there, when he was at work on a weekend. He only works Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. That's it. He doesn't work during the week. Nothing. And he works overnight shift.
Okay.
So she was going to plan on moving all her stuff out while he was at work. You know, get a couple people out there to help her move the furniture and stuff like that. Well, after she had texted me that, I had found out that she did go look at the house that day because Greg was flipping out because he found a text message in her phone that she was looking at a house.
Okay.
And he flipped out about it, I guess. And that's where that went from that. Well, she didn't show up for work Wednesday. And nobody could get a hold of her. Her phone was off, and we're like, okay, what's going on?
The revelation from Tina's coworker immediately raised red flags for investigators. Here was a woman experiencing relationship problems at home, actively looking to leave her boyfriend, and then she suddenly disappears along with her children and best friend. This pattern was all too familiar to seasoned detectives. According to FBI statistics, a significant share of women who are murdered are killed by a current or former intimate partner. The risk escalates dramatically during periods of separation or when a woman is trying to leave an abusive relationship. With Tina actively searching for apartments and planning her exit, the timeline fit a textbook domestic homicide scenario. This made Gregory Borders their most important person of interest.
Like I said, we have you here so we can talk to you. We're talking to everybody, That's just kind of what we got to do, and I'm sure you want that.
Oh, yeah. I've been hoping you guys would get a hold of me soon.
And we were going to, and you probably felt that we would too. But again, we've just been running here and there and everywhere and just didn't have the opportunity to sit down and talk with you. So what I'd like to do is maybe just get a little bit of background information, if that's okay.
Okay.
Because I've never really met you before last night. And, I've never met Tina and the kids or anything like that. So,
Okay.
You guys are boyfriend, girlfriend? Is that never been married or?
No. We were engaged.
Okay.
We've been engaged probably for 4 years.
Okay. Any kids you have kids together, biological kids?
I have my 2 kids and she has 2 kids. Mine are mainly with us on holidays and during the summer. But they're not here on a regular basis during the school year very often.
Boy, girl.
Boy and girl.
Can you tell me a little bit about Tina? I don't really know her, so I'm asking everybody.
I can summarize our relationship. It's an on and again, off again. We butt heads. Like I told you the other night, there's never been any physical altercations, and yeah, we are split up. We've been split up for the past month, but like I was telling you last night, I wouldn't be surprised if a week from now we get back together. Because that's the way our relationship's been. I know it didn't sound good with everything that's going on.
Yeah.
That's just the way our relationship. It's immature and it's stupid, and
that's about 80% of the relationships, on and off.
Yeah.
Times are tough now. Financial reasons and everything. Yeah, that's typical though, and I'm telling you, and I don't have to tell you that. I'm sure you know that. Just talking to your buddies, I'm sure they got the same problem sometimes.
Yeah.
That's the major thing, the money. So you say you're on and off. This week you're off.
Well, we've been off probably the past month. I'd caught her texting some guy that she works with at Dairy Queen about a month ago. I didn't know, there was no text from her. There was a text from him that I seen, and it could have been innocent. Might not have been. And the only text I seen from her to him was, "I hope you're deleting his messages." Because I guess he's engaged or married, I don't know. But I confronted her about it. She acted like it was no big deal. We didn't talk for 4 or 5 days. And then we made up. Everything was going good. And then she made a comment to me one day about she wouldn't even have been talking to that guy if we got along more better and stuff. And then I was like, what? Oh. I told her, that's when I said, I can't do this. And if every time we're in an argument or something, I'm going to have to worry about you doing something like that, so I pretty much ended it. And this whole past week, I can tell she'd been wanting to get back together, and I just kept pushing away. I didn't, because everybody in my family, they're like, you need to get away. That's not a good environment for her kids. I don't even bring my kids there anymore because it's not a good environment with us fighting and stuff like that.
Sure.
And I could just tell she wanted to get back together, and the way she was acting towards me, like when I left Wednesday morning, she was mad. She knew I was going to stay with my friend that night, and she thought maybe I was going to see a girl or do something, and she woke up, which she hasn't got up with me. She usually used to get up with me in the mornings, and she'd help me pack my lunch, get my coffee ready and stuff, but she hadn't done that in a while, and she got up that morning, and she was fighting with me about the dog because I didn't let the dog out because I was running a little late, and she made a comment to me when I was getting in the car. She's like, well, you better come home after work. She was trying everything in her power to get me to come home. She wanted me to come home after work. She didn't want me to go to my buddy's house.
So you pretty much had a plan to go golfing that day.
Yeah, we had planned it out. We'd been planning it all weekend. But then they asked Monday for volunteers to work because we were really behind. And I was like, well, I'll sign up for Wednesday. I was talking to my buddy, I'll sign up for Wednesday and come crash at your house. And then because the place we wanted to go golfing is it's far drive from here. And he's only like 20 minutes from it.
Okay. Well, one of the, again, the reason why you're here is we're just trying to figure out what everybody was doing that day, and and I'm glad that you came in so we could talk because obviously, I mean, you know her well.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I mean, I know we had our problems, but I still love her and I still care about her.
You know what?
I love her kids. I mean, I've raised them for the past 5-6 years like they're my kids.
You can't tell me that there's not a person out there, a relationship where they don't have the problems. If they say they don't, they're lying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
During questioning, Borders was surprisingly open about the couple's problems. He admitted they'd had a fight that Wednesday morning before he left for work, but insisted he loved Tina and her children and would never hurt any of them. He maintained that he'd spent the day at work, then went golfing with a friend and stayed overnight at their house. After investigators followed up on his alibi, they determined that Borders was indeed over 80 miles away from the home on the day the family went missing. With their primary suspect cleared, police decided to take a second, more thorough look at the crime scene. That's when they made a crucial discovery in the garage, a Walmart shopping bag containing tarps and heavy-duty trash bags. More importantly, the receipt was still inside. Investigators contacted the Mount Vernon Walmart to see if they could trace the purchase. Store security was able to locate the transaction in their system. The items had been bought just after midnight on November 11th, hours after the family disappeared. When they reviewed the surveillance footage, they saw an unidentified white male making the purchase. The cameras followed him out to the parking lot where, although they couldn't make out his license plate, they were able to determine he was driving a silver Toyota Yaris. The Toyota Yaris wasn't a particularly common car on Ohio roads, so investigators figured there couldn't be that many male owners in Knox County. They ran through the DMV database of all registered male owners of silver Toyota Yaris vehicles in the area. One name immediately stood out: Matthew Hoffman. Not only did he match the physical description of the man in the surveillance video, but he was wearing the exact same camouflage shirt in his driver's license photo that the suspect wore in the Walmart footage. Armed with this evidence, police obtained a search warrant and headed to Hoffman's residence on Columbus Road. When police arrived at 49 Columbus Road, they found Matthew Hoffman asleep on his living room couch. He appeared cooperative at first, but officers immediately noticed fresh scratches and marks on his arms and hands. As they began their search of the property, what officers discovered inside defied explanation. The entire residence was filled with bags and piles of leaves, thousands upon thousands of them covering floors, tacked to walls, and stuffed into every available space. Hoffman, it turned out, had an obsessive fascination with trees and had been collecting leaves compulsively. Despite the bizarre leaf collection, nothing else initially seemed out of the ordinary. Officers conducted a systematic search of the main floor and second story, finding no signs of the missing family members. They discovered some rope in the garage, which raised suspicions, but still no clear evidence of what had happened to the victims. But the real breakthrough came when they noticed a heavy dresser had been pushed against what appeared to be a basement door. When they moved the dresser and descended into the basement, they made a discovery that would change everything. Hidden beneath piles of leaves and blankets, they found Tina's daughter alive, but bound with rope and duct tape. Hoffman was immediately arrested on kidnapping charges.
Do you kind of understand what's going on here, Matt?
That's it. We can explain all this to you if you want to talk to me, okay? I think you know what we want to talk about. But we need to find some people. Matt, can you hear me?
Matt, you go by Matt or Matthew? Sure, you probably have some questions for us, right? Or maybe a little bit better understanding what's going on?
We'll give you a minute, man, if you need to think a little bit. Just tell us when you're ready. You want to talk to one of us alone, or do you want us both in here, or you comfortable with both of us being here? Nah?
From the moment Matthew Hoffman was brought into the interrogation room, it was clear that this would be no ordinary questioning. He sat rigidly in his chair, eyes closed for long stretches, completely stone-faced and unresponsive to even the most basic questions. Investigators tried various tactics to get him comfortable in talking. They offered him water, food, and bathroom breaks. They adjusted the room temperature and even tried building rapport, hoping to help break through his wall of silence. When basic needs and rapport building didn't work, police tried appealing to his emotional side, hoping to find some human connection that might compel him to speak.
Matt, we have officers down talking to your parents right now, okay? We have a lot of officers out and around. I think we need your help and you need ours.
We need to get some closure here.
Your mom said you was honest and cooperative. That's what she told him. Your mom loves you, man. You got a lot of people that are concerned and worried and missing people. And we need to get that wrapped up, okay? Like I told you, there's reasons for everything, okay? We know that. You know that. And we gotta get it worked out. There's family members out there of other people, and all they want is closure. That's all they want. They've been up for days like you and I have, you know? Heart hurts. I don't understand sign language, man. Is that your heart? You're saying heart? Broken. Your heart's broken? Because of what happened? No. Someone broke your heart? I know you can talk to me, man. What do you want from us? Tell me what you want from us. You gotta talk to me. We talk to a lot of people before we come to see you, so we know you can talk. Oh, thanks. Matt, here's some tissues.
You understand what's going on, Matt? Matt.
After several hours of interrogation, it became clear that Hoffman wasn't going to break. He had maintained his wall of silence through every tactic investigators threw at him, from compassionate appeals to aggressive confrontation. Recognizing they were getting nowhere, police decided to call it a night. They returned Hoffman to his cell and began strategizing for a fresh approach. Tomorrow would bring new interrogators, different tactics, and hopefully the breakthrough they desperately needed.
Hi, Matt. Hi, my name's Chris. I wanted to talk to you for a second if I could. Just gotta close the door. What are you doing? That's a different kind of garb. You either have me on suicide watch? Okay. Well, I just wanted to talk to you briefly and make sure you're doing okay and see how everything's... You look pretty exhausted.
Police decided to try an entirely different approach the next day. They brought in Detective Christine Cadieux, a female investigator with specialized training in psychological interrogation techniques. The strategy was carefully planned. Cadieux was instructed to style her hair in a ponytail to appear younger and more approachable. She was told to adopt a softer, more nurturing demeanor, positioning herself as someone genuinely concerned about Hoffman's well-being rather than an adversary. The psychological reasoning behind this shift was calculated. Given that Hoffman had apparently killed an entire family but spared the 13-year-old girl, investigators theorized that he might respond differently to a female interrogator who appeared younger and less threatening.
Like I said, I'm kind of concerned right now for you. You seem kind of like you're upset, or I would imagine you're pretty exhausted from the last couple days. Did you get something to eat today? They gave you breakfast? Okay. I'd like to help you, Matt, and find out how you're feeling and what's going on and see where this can go. I think it can only help you to find out how you're doing and what's going on with you. Your face shows a lot of pain, Matt. That's just what I can see. I don't want you to be feeling that. Are you cold? Want a jacket or something? Okay. Just you. Okay. Let me go ask him if we can get a jacket. Okay. Come back. Okay. You want the pants? Not dessert now? Okay. Well, they're here if you do. Okay. All right. I saw you shiver in there. I thought that it is a little chilly in here. I'm the one that's got the sweater on, so. You're obviously a man with strong feelings. And they're right there. And I can only guess that you probably had to keep them to yourself for a while and not had someone else to confide in and talk to about feelings in general. That happens to a lot of us. It's okay.
Yes.
Where's the sadness coming from?
I think I'm crazy.
Why do you think that?
Because I must have done something bad. I wouldn't be here if I didn't.
Well, that can be worked through.
I'm afraid to even know what it was I did.
You're afraid to let me know what you did?
I'm afraid to even know what I did.
No. It can only help you. You can't work through something you don't know.
I don't know if there's other people are.
What other people?
Who was those guys grilled me about yesterday?
Well, I'm concerned about you right now.
I tried to just tell her that everything's gonna be okay. I didn't know if everything's gonna be okay or not. I'm just trying to appease her fears.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure you did at the time. I'm sure she still has some other fears of not knowing where her mom and her brother are. And that may be something that you can appease as well.
I thought that maybe if she was with me, then they were somewhere else. And the detective yesterday said there was blood everywhere in the house.
Do you not remember that? Or...
So they can't be okay if that's happened, or maybe one of them somewhere or something.
How did you come to have her have at your house?
I heard her. I found her.
How would you find her? If it helps your memory, she did say that you brought her from her home to your home.
I gathered that
Yeah.
when I felt when the SWAT team came in the morning.
All right.
Relieved that she could go back to her family, and then I didn't know what to do. What am I doing to this girl? How did this even happen? What's going on? And I was just gonna take care of her and try to figure out what happened. I never even watched any of the moves. I was trying to backtrack all my steps and where I've been. Trying to figure it out. And I didn't know what to do with her. I could just... I had to tie her up. So when they came in, I was so glad she could go back to my family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, want to hurt her. That makes sense. You kind of fell back into a corner, having her there, but not sure what to do at that point.
Detective Cadieux's softer approach was finally working. She managed to get Hoffman talking, and he admitted that he was the one who had tied up the girl, and that he was most likely the one who had done something bad to the other 3 victims, although he continued to claim to have no recollection of what happened. It was a delicate game of cat and mouse. Just when it seemed like Hoffman might provide a full confession or reveal where the other bodies were located, he would pull back and go quiet again. The detective knew that she couldn't push too hard or risk him shutting down completely like he had with the previous interrogators. By this point, the little girl had already told investigators the truth, that Hoffman had sexually assaulted her multiple times during those 4 days in his basement. Detective Cadieux knew that she had to play along with his story and make him believe that she thought of him as a victim too. But the problem was that Hoffman seemed to know exactly what game they were playing.
I appreciate you letting me talk to you.
Thanks for being so nice. I'm not really sure what your angle is. You're from the FBI and you're some counselor. So, I don't really know what you're getting at. I guess I missed lunch, so you guys brought me a pizza. I really don't know what to say. I don't really have anything to say. I just do what I
Well, you're a smart guy, you know that, and I don't want to lie to you in any way. That's not my way. The things I've talked to you about, I'm very genuine about. It comes from my heart. And I do. I know when people, things happen, and I just hear them talk to you, it boils up. And it happens to all of us in different ways. So, with all honesty, that's kind of my angle about making sure you're okay and your pain stops. And I mean that sincerely.
You seem very sincere and genuine.
Well,
Part of me wishes that I could help you. And part of me is afraid to just know what happened.
well, again, we talk about you hold things in, and it doesn't seem to have worked for you in the past. That maybe bringing it out and talking about it, and maybe even if that does bring out more memories, it's going to be more of a better thing. Than the past, it's holding it in hasn't worked for you.
I'm afraid that what they're saying is true and that I'm some sort of monster.
I don't think you're a monster at all.
I can't hurt people. Right. But I don't know. But I can't.
And that's what it's about. It's not about you being a monster. It's about...
I think I would get in a fight, like if I was here. Like, I would fight somebody, but I couldn't hurt people. And I don't know what happened.
People will forgive if you're honest. And try to help as much as you can. That goes a long way with most people.
This is too big for forgiveness. There was a girl walked up at my house. How could I be forgiven? I don't even forgive myself for that. How did that happen?
I'm happy to give you a break if you want. If you want me to leave, just looking for me. Hi.
Hey, it's been about 3.5 hours. I just didn't
Yeah.
know if he needed to go or do anything, or
I was trying-
if you did.
No, I was just trying to ask him if do you need to go to the
Hey, Matt,
bathroom
it's
back?
Joe.
I mean, I can
He
get
hasn't been like this the whole time.
No,
Oh.
no,
See,
we're talking.
kind of went in and out yesterday a few times when we were talking. Hey, Matt.
He's been talking.
How you doing? Remember me from yesterday?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
It'll just be a couple minutes, okay?
Okay.
And then I'll be back. And then tell us if you need something, all right? I want to. You gotta have to go to the bathroom too. You just had a bottle of water. All right. When I come back, I'll ask you again to make sure, okay? We can take those off too.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
After nearly 4 hours of interrogation, detectives once again decided to call it a night, despite making significant progress. While Detective Cadieux had managed to get Hoffman talking and admitting partial responsibility, investigators were walking a legal tightrope. While Hoffman hadn't requested a lawyer yet, continuing to question an exhausted suspect for hours on end could give his future defense team ammunition to challenge whatever confession they might obtain. The last thing they wanted was for crucial evidence to be thrown out of court on a technicality. Meanwhile, time was running out on multiple fronts. The prosecutor's office was putting pressure on investigators. They needed to either formally charge Hoffman or risk having the case handed over to public defenders. Once lawyers entered the picture, Hoffman would almost certainly be advised to stop talking entirely. At that point, their chances of finding the other 3 victims would be reduced significantly. With everything hanging in the balance, investigators decided that the next day they would try one final time to get the confession they so desperately needed.
Well, I would just appreciate you coming down again. We wanted to talk to you again, but just know that, it's your choice. If you don't want to talk to us at any time, just let us know. Okay? And at any point you can stop it. I just want to remind you of that and know that you have a choice in this. Okay? What are your thoughts today after things we talked about and kind of left it last night with you feeling like you wanted to do what you could to help?
This coffee's kind of getting weak. Can we go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
All right.
Now, you're not going to try and overpower me and take my gun or anything, right?
No, you might. If you want to, you can give it to someone.
Okay.
So, I only use the bathroom when you don't interrupt it.
Gary?
Just wait right there.
Yep. I'm sorry, Doug. You take this, absolutely, and I'm gonna walk down to the bathroom and doing it. Just join me.
You can even put the cuffs on if you want.
During the bathroom break, Matthew Hoffman made a calculated move. Away from the cameras and recording equipment, he approached the detective with a stunning revelation. Hoffman told the detective he'd had a vivid dream the previous night, where he dreamt that he was working in a meat processing plant, cutting up body parts. According to Hoffman, this disturbing dream had triggered his memory about what had happened to the 3 missing victims and where their bodies might be located. He then told the detective that he would reveal the location of the bodies, but only if law enforcement agreed to take him to the site under specific conditions. Once there, he would attempt to escape, and he wanted the officers to shoot and kill him during his escape attempt.
What? Can you tell us what you do remember? Obviously, you had a moment where can you tell us what you do remember? I mean, my concern again is with the location, but can you tell us what you do remember? You've admitted to what you've done. I mean, there's not any more purpose. You've admitted to it. You've admitted to the point that they're cut up, they're in garbage bags. I mean, which is what we pretty much knew anyway. So why not just take pills? You're the one who said you had the dream, and it all came back, and now that's why you want to kill yourself. We didn't tell you that. I mean, man, if it didn't happen, you wouldn't be at this stage. You wouldn't be trying to figure out a way to kill yourself. You'd be fighting this whole thing another whole different way.
So the bad that we do far outweighs the good. People will think I haven't lost her. If I've done what you guys said I've done, then I haven't lost you.
Well, you know you've done what you've done. That's part of your whole decision to want to end your
I
life.
can't help.
But you can still you can help us.
I made up that just so I could.
Yeah, I don't believe that, man. I don't believe it. I think that you know. You don't want to tell for whatever reason. You don't want to own it. You're afraid it might play some role in your case. I don't know what that all is. But if you don't, this isn't something you're making it sound like we could have brought somebody in off the street and we could have told them they did all these things, and then all of a sudden they would start telling us this stuff, okay? We didn't tell you that the truck had a hard time shifting. Okay, you knew that because you were there and you drove the truck. Okay, there's a lot of details in this case that you know that are part of your experience. So the idea that you just don't know that just doesn't work anymore. You've got to know enough to be able to make this decision to do some positive good here.
The shutting down just doesn't work, Matt. We know you're still part of this conversation in this room and know what you're thinking. And it's not going to get you through in the end for yourself. They're telling me that they are pushing and they're pushing, the prosecutors are pushing to have you come and have a hearing, and this is it. This is your last chance to talk to us.
You know, the impression you gave me this morning was certainly that you're not concerned about your case, that you recognize that this is that this is, in terms of the case, that this is done. But they're charged with, looking at it differently. So, I mean, this is realistically our last opportunity.
You gotta think of your family and yourself, and how that's gonna work. They're gonna be the ones that you have to face in the end, and how they're gonna view that. Your mom has been pressing to say, just do the right thing and tell us where they are, and she will be there for you. That's what's going to give her pride.
So, quite honestly, whether we find them this morning with the people that are out looking or whether you help us find them, the sooner they're found, the sooner this, starts to die down. So, I mean, that's another, again, I'm just looking for ways that will help you come to this decision, but that's another thing to think about if that is a concern to you, and it sounds like it is. And the lack of the media pressure can also take some of the other people that are, being affected by it. Sorry about that.
Okay. We're done. We apparently are told we are done. Keep everything we've said in mind for you. Think about it, and think about what you can do for yourself after you talk to an attorney, and the deal that you can make for yourself.
After prosecutors abruptly ended the interrogation, Matthew Hoffman was assigned a public defender and immediately stopped talking. The window of opportunity had closed, but not entirely. Facing overwhelming evidence and the possibility of the death penalty, Hoffman eventually accepted a plea deal. In exchange for taking capital punishment off the table, he agreed to confess to the murders and reveal the location of the bodies. Hoffman's confession was as disturbing as it was detailed. He admitted to dismembering the bodies and placing the remains in garbage bags, which he then deposited in a hollow beech tree deep in the Kokosing wildlife area. He described climbing to the top of the massive tree and dropping the bags down into the hollow interior, believing they would never be found. When investigators arrived at the remote location Hoffman had described, they quickly identified the tree. Using chainsaws and tree-cutting equipment, they carefully opened the hollow and recovered multiple garbage bags containing the dismembered remains of Tina Harrmann, her 11-year-old son, and Stephanie Sprang. In his confession, Hoffman revealed what had happened on that Wednesday in November. He claimed he had originally entered the house to commit burglary while the family was away. When Tina returned home unexpectedly with groceries, he attacked her with a knife, stabbing her multiple times. Stephanie arrived shortly after and walked directly into this horrific scene. Hoffman killed her as well to eliminate any witnesses to what he had done to Tina. With 2 victims dead in the house, Hoffman began the gruesome process of dismembering their bodies. He was still in the middle of this time-intensive process when Tina's kids unexpectedly arrived home from school. They too became victims of his escalating violence. Matthew Hoffman was ultimately charged with aggravated murder, kidnapping, rape, and tampering with evidence. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, avoiding the death penalty, but ensuring he would never again walk free.